Do you like boobs? Oh, look at her grab onto it. Ah, jeez. I'm not gonna be able to use any of this footage for YouTube. Well then, do I have the perfect movie for you? Today on my never-ending journey into the deep depths of Tubi, I'm talking about a film called Evil Toons. And no, I'm not talking about that one episode of SpongeBob where Squidward got all sad and... well, no, this is some real stuff. Evil Toons is a 1992 horror comedy directed and written by Fred Olen Ray, director of the greatest action movie of all time, Sniper Special Ops.
Are you really as good as they all say you are?
Every once in a while.
Starring David Carradine, Dick Miller, and a bunch of random adult actresses because they're a little cooler with the idea of showing their baps to the camera. No, seriously, the tits per minute ratio on this movie is off the charts. It shouldn't be possible to show this much nudity. It's like Mardi Gras on steroids. Evil Toons is less like an actual film and more like a porno with the smallest amount of plot possible, which is pretty cool in my opinion, because all the full frontal nudity shots kind of distracts you from the fact that this movie is terrible. But before we get into watching the movie, I want to know if you've ever had any spooky experiences with cartoons. Was there ever a scene from a movie or TV show that for some reason just scared the crap out of you as a kid? Please tell me about it in the comments down below. Me personally, there was this one episode of Ed, Edd n Eddy where the cul-de-sac got abducted by aliens, and I'm gonna be real with you guys, it frightened the fuck out of me. To this day, I still wake up covered in sweat sometimes just thinking about it. Well, I always wake up covered in sweat because I'm a sweaty fat fuck, but more sweat than usual.
Don't tell me you kids don't enjoy a good cartoon.
American Independent Productions Incorporated. Well, that's a fucking mouthful, isn't it? The movie opens up with a message from the director, Fred Olen Ray, stating that everything that happens in this movie is a true story. Now listen, guy, I know that I'm looking a little young these days, but I wasn't born yesterday. The story you are about to see is true. Nothing has been changed. These are the actual people who lived this great adventure, and this is exactly the way it really happened. I truly believe... I was reading that. So in the early 1930s, a man named Gideon Fisk hangs himself in the basement of his suburban mansion to spite a talking book made out of human skin. Whoa, I didn't know Nancy Pelosi was in this movie. Yuck, 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 yuck. Politics. Also, the fact that David Carradine's character dies from hanging himself feels... too soon? Fast forward to the present day, or 1992, where a man named Bert, played by Dick Miller, shows up to the vacant mansion driving a sick white van. We seriously need to take white vans back from child predators, cause this thing is awesome. I want to be able to drive that around without getting any weird looks from the public. I mean, just imagine how much space it has. I could fit so many... not kids in the back of that thing. So Bert is dropping off 4 hot babes that he hired to clean the mansion before the new owners move in on Monday. The 4 women are Roxanne, the promiscuous one, Terry, the confident leader, Megan, the educated nerd, and Jan, who is also there. And you know how a movie would typically take some time in the beginning to establish the characters, maybe tell us their motives and why they're here? Well, instead of that boring shit, we instead get a 15-second uninterrupted shot of all of their asses. Yeah, this is what the movie's gonna be, just to let you know. Also, Bert is only paying the women $100 each to spend the weekend in this creepy mansion and clean it from top to bottom. Now that's a gender wage gap if I've ever heard of one.
A lousy $100. Think there'd be an easier way to earn some spending cash.
There is. It's called getting a real job. Before the girls get to cleaning the mansion, Bert tells them that there will be no fooling around this weekend because he has a reputation to uphold. Reputation? What kind of reputation do you have to uphold? You just dropped off 4 college kids to clean a mansion all weekend for $100. Reputation. This is like a pimp talking about their reputation while they're smacking their bitch up. While unloading the car, Terry tells the other girls about the haunted history of the mansion, including the previous owners, the Mortimer family, who mysteriously got up in the middle of the night and left the house, leaving all of their possessions behind. Which isn't that crazy, to be honest with you. I did a similar thing the first time I tried ketamine. And by the looks of it, the ladies didn't just bring along cleaning supplies, they brought a 12-pack of Budweiser cans. Really? Only 12 beers for 4 people over an entire weekend? What are you guys, Mormons? The girls meet the next door neighbor, Mr. Henchlow, who is the creepiest guy I've ever seen. And that's counting the guy who offered to give me my first headshots for my modeling career in the back of his trailer. Thanks, Jack. I still have the scars. Mr. Henchlow says that he just stopped by to memorize the girls' faces in case he has to identify their bodies later on this weekend. Why the fuck would you ever say something like that? Keep those thoughts to yourself there, fat Dahmer.
Now, if you're done memorizing us, we've got a lot of work to do.
Of course, I guess so.
Well, hold on, I'm not done memorizing yet. Let me get a couple more looks. Girls, could you turn around? What if I have to identify your ass? What if they ask me to feel your ass? Hold on, let me touch it. The gals get started cleaning the basement, and they find this mysterious chest just sitting in the corner with some ancient language written on it, and the movie does this really annoying thing where the language gets translated for us, the audience, but not for the characters in the movie. And it just says some random bullshit like, never open this trunk, but you didn't have to do that. As an audience, we're smart enough to just assume that it says something along the lines of never open it. I mean, I'm sure it's not an ancient recipe for chili or something.
I've seen a lot of odd languages, but never one like this before.
That's English, sweetheart. You should know what this is by now. Inside the chest, Terry finds... Is it Terry? Yes, it's Terry. Inside the chest, Terry finds a blanket, a dagger, and a decomposed human skull. And she is way too cool with touching this stuff. Personally, I'd be calling the authorities and letting them know that I found human remains in the basement of an abandoned mansion, but I've never been in your shoes. Probably couldn't fit in them. There's a reason they call me Big Stepper Jonathan on the court. Back in the house, Roxanne just randomly starts stripping for the girls and doing a sexy dance, and it's so awkward and completely out of nowhere. Is this what you ladies are doing at your little sleepovers? Because if that's the case, why haven't I been invited? Roxanne then encourages Megan to start dancing, but she runs off all embarrassed because apparently she's self-conscious about her body. Well, let me tell you something, girl, you shouldn't be, because those knockers are knocking. That body rocks harder than David Lee Roth after a week-long Coke binge. Also, for the sake of science, I'm gonna try and keep track of all the nude scenes that happen in this movie, so could we please add 2 to the official Trash Can Johnny titty counter? Patent pending. That picture of Jesus rocks. I want one. I want to put one right up here next. David Carradine. So Gideon Fisk appears outside the mansion with the skin book, gives it to the girls, and then just leaves. Is it just me, or does it feel like DoorDash drivers are getting ruder and ruder by the day? I mean, this guy didn't even wait to take a picture. How are you gonna know if the order was completed?
Sure. Do I need to sign anything?
Lady, I don't think it's UPS. The only way that guy's a part of UPS is if it stands for Ultimate Predator Services. So the girls investigate the book, and they find out that it's written in Latin and covered in these pictures of scary ancient monsters. Yeah, sure, scary, if that's what you want to call it. Personally, I've seen scarier things working the register at my local CVS, but I digress. So Megan opens the book and immediately starts reading one of the incantations out loud, which is never a good idea. Hey, little life tip for anyone watching out there, if you ever find an ancient book written in Latin, don't read it. It never ends well. After reading the book made of human skin, Jan, Terry, and Megan just go upstairs and go to bed as if this is normal, and Roxanne waits up for a hot date with a guy named Biff. And here's another life tip for anyone out there expecting a child soon. Don't name him Biff. Biff is the noise that I make when a cop asks me if I've had a couple of drinks tonight before getting behind the wheel of my car. Drinks? Me? Biff. Officer, seriously, do I look like the kind of guy who would do something like that? But before going to bed, Jan and Terry just get undressed in front of Megan, showing their sweet little baps. So let's add 2 to the official Trash Can Johnny titty counter. Patent pending. So while Roxanne struggles to open a bottle of champagne, one of the drawings from the book comes to life, and it doesn't look great. For a movie that's about evil cartoons, I was expecting a little more. I've seen better art on a box of Captain Crunch. No offense to any of the artists who actually worked on this movie, I'm sure this is more of a budgetary restriction than an indictment on anybody's artistic abilities. Roxanne goes back into the living room and changes into some lingerie because apparently she wasn't feeling sexy enough. Add that to the official Trash Can Johnny titty counter. Patent pending. The monster attacks Roxanne and kills her, but not before ripping her shirt off. Add that too, also that one, to the official Trash Can Johnny titty counter. Patent pending. Did we get the patent on that? No, still patent pending. The beast then shapeshifts into Roxanne for the sole reason that now the studio can save a lot of money by not animating the creature anymore. Real creative film techniques going on here. Are we sure this isn't a Spielberg flick? I gotta go. Megan hears Roxanne scream and decides to go downstairs to investigate, but is confronted by the monster now in Roxanne's form. Monster Roxanne excuses the screaming by saying that she was just having a little bit of rough sex with Biff. And I just have to say that screaming during sex is an immediate turn-off. Like, quiet down, lady. I'm trying to pretend that you're a dude, and it's a little hard when you're trying to break the sound barrier.
We heard screams and now you're here naked and covered in blood. Are you okay?
Yeah, it's called sex, virgin. Get with the times. So Biff finally shows up, and let me just say that this guy is an absolute hunk. That's a Biff if I've ever seen one. So Biff and Monster Roxanne start dry humping on the couch, and then the beast bites Biff on the neck, killing him, all while Gideon Fisk just watches, like the pervert he is. So back at home, Bert is watching a movie called A Bucket of Blood, starring himself. That's right, Dick Miller watching Dick Miller. Talk about a meta moment. He even remarks that this guy should have won an Academy Award. Alright, don't hurt yourself trying to suck your own dick. Dick. Mr. Henchlow calls Bert and tells him that he heard screaming coming from the house, so he decides to get out and go check it out. Also, Bert's wife, played by Michelle Bauer, shows her titties too. For some reason. It's completely out of nowhere and unnecessary, but nevertheless, added to the official Trash Can Johnny titty counter. Do we have that patent yet? I'm told it's still pending. The girls come downstairs and find Biff dead, covered in the blanket that they found in the mysterious chest in the basement. Megan says that she knows what that blanket is now. It's a sacred soul shroud used by occultists to offer up souls to Satan. Alright, bitch, how do you know that? What classes are you taking this semester? Intro to devil worship? Also, why does the Prince of Darkness need to use a rug to steal souls? You would think that Satan has better methods by now. Has this guy not heard of Amazon Prime? They've got free next day delivery. Bert shows up to the mansion to check on the girls, but they refuse to let him in and see Biff's body. They say that if Bert comes in and sees Biff's dead body, then he'll know that they were fooling around and they won't make their $100. Now listen, I've done a lot of out-of-pocket things for $100. As a matter of fact, it's why I'm sitting down right now, but I don't know if hiding a body is really worth it all that much. Let me know in the comments below what you think. While waiting for the girls to let him in, Bert gets taken to the basement by the Beast, who seduces him in the form of Roxanne, and then bites his wiener off, killing him. Man, I've heard of a toothy beach, but this one takes it to another level. That's a bad ending if I've ever seen one. How's that for a Dick Miller? Oh! Oh! Back in the house, Megan notices that one of the drawings from the book has completely vanished. So she translates another page which says that anyone who speaks aloud the incantation will bring a monster to the world of the living. Yeah, you probably should have read that first. dumbass. She also reads that the dagger they found in the chest is the key to killing the monster. So the three girls go to the basement to find the dagger, but instead find Bert and Roxanne both murdered. Also, Roxanne's tits are out, so I think we're up to 8 now. Is that 8 on the official Trash Can Johnny titty counter? I guess patent's still pending? The three run outside and see Gideon Fisk standing there, and the mere sight of David Carradine causes Megan's ponytail to stand up on end, and I gotta be honest with ya, it's very funny. That's... now that's comedy. I didn't know this movie was written by Larry David. So during this whole movie, I kept trying to figure out who Terry looked like, and during this part, it finally hit me. Reba McEntire. That's who this woman looks like. I'm just a woman, I'm a stay-at-home mom. What's that song by Reba? She works 2 jobs and cares a lot. She's got a lot of slimy green snot in her nose. While going to find the ceremonial blade, the three run into Mr. Hinchlow, who offers to take them to his house so that they can call for help. Now personally, I might try and take my chances with the evil cartoon demon before I go anywhere alone with Mr. Hinchlow. And while the girls are distracted, Mr. Hinchlow magically turns into Roxanne, who tells the girls that this has all been a prank, just a little bit of a goof and a gaff, if you will. And these women just go along with it. There's not a moment of them being like, well, wait a minute, wasn't Mr. Hinchlow just here? No. Dumb broads, you know, maybe they deserve to die. I'm starting to come around on the idea. The girls go back in the basement to confront Bert and Biff for being in on this prank, and it's pretty funny. They just start like punching and kicking the dead bodies. It's quite comical.
Playing possum, huh? Let's see if I can kick a field goal this time.
That's not how you kick a football, woman. You don't know anything about football. You're a phony. You're a big fat phony. Then the Beast comes clean and says that they are actually dead and this wasn't a prank. This is a little thing that we like to call the double prank. Get pranked doubly, dumbasses. The girls run back upstairs to grab the dagger, but the Beast grabs Jan and kills her. But not before tearing her shirt off. Added to the official Trash Can Johnny titty counter, patent. It's here? We got the patent? No, it's still pending. I'm sorry, I misheard you. The 2 remaining girls go looking for the Beast, but it gets a hold of Terry and kills her. But of course, not without exposing her breasts. Now, if my calculations are correct, that's 10. 10 titty shots in one movie that's barely 90 minutes long. I know this might be sacrilegious, but that's just too many breasts. The Beast calls out to the last survivor, Megan, who just randomly launches herself down the stairs. I don't know why, but it's really funny. It's not like she tripped or anything. There's nothing there to trip on. She just goes from standing straight to an old school Rey Mysterio maneuver. Now that's a West Coast pop if I've ever seen one. The Beast does what beasts do best by giving a final villain monologue in the form of exposition. The Beast explains to Megan that killing the women isn't enough to send the souls to hell. To complete the ceremony, the Beast must cover the corpses with the sacred shroud. But luckily, before the Beast can kill Megan, David Carradine shows up, and not a minute too late. 5 people are dead. Gideon Fisk fights the Beast, and I'm not gonna lie, the makeup on Roxanne is pretty cool. It's a nice indie horror flick kind of thing going on. It would be passable if it was in a not shit movie. Gideon stabs the Beast in the chest with the dagger, and by stabbed in the chest, I mean respectfully places it in between the arm and the chest of Roxanne. They seriously didn't spare a dime on special effects in this movie. The boob budget was just a bit too high. The Beast turns back into a cartoon, and Gideon says that it's trying to go back into the book. So Megan goes over, grabs the book, and throws it in the fire, destroying it. Why didn't Gideon just do that all the way back in the 1930s? It seems a little bit easier than... Oh, it's coming from his eyes. I met somebody who could do that. His name was Robert. Weird feller. Gideon then throws the sacred shroud into the fire, which is a nice sentiment, but I'm not sure it stops anything. Surely Beelzebub has more blankets. Gideon sits down and explains to Megan that he was the one who originally brought the book to America. And when he opened the book, he accidentally released a terror that cursed him to the point of taking his own life. But even after his death, he was cursed to limbo, cursed to wait for the day that someone else could read the ancient texts to bring the beast back to life so that he could kill it for good. Well, luckily this random bitch knows Latin, I guess. He says that the curse has finally been lifted and the demon has been vanquished to hell. Also, everyone that was killed during the course of this movie will wake up tomorrow morning with no recollection of what happened. You know what the true mark of a good movie is? Is when it has 5 minutes of exposition at the very end to explain what the fuck just happened, and it still doesn't make any sense. But don't think about it too much. There are boobs on screen. Just look at the boobs. Yeah, stop thinking boobs.
And now, neither do I. Goodbye, little one. Good luck.
They spared no expense. And sure enough, the next morning, everyone is brought back to life. Biff, Bert, Mr. Henchlow, Jan, Terry, Roxanne, everyone is alive again. Imagine at the end of Friday the 13th that all the slain campers just get up the next morning and move on, go home, and they forget all this happened. Sounds fun, doesn't it? So wait, was that the Ocarina of Time sunrise sound effect? Mr. Henchlow brings over coffee in a thermos for the girls, and personally, I wouldn't drink that if I were you. That coffee's probably gonna make you a little sleepier than you'd like. He also brought with him a portable TV, telling the girls that it's almost time for Saturday morning cartoons. Excuse me, sir. These are all adult women. Why would they want to watch Saturday morning cartoons on your tiny little TV? Explain that to me. And with the mention of Saturday morning cartoons, the movie ends with Megan looking at the camera and screaming. And I just wanted to mention this because this poor girl gave her all into this scream. It's the best performance of the movie, minus Dick Miller simulating a deadly blowjob. I'll never forget that as long as I live. And the monster as himself. Oh, you guys are real fucking inventive, aren't you? You guys are just a bunch of artists. You're just a bunch of goddamn artists. And that's it for Evil Toons, possibly the most blatant excuse I've ever seen for hot female action since I tried to start my own lingerie football league. Unfortunately, the bank wouldn't loan me the money after my last failed lingerie football league. The idea of drawings coming to life and killing people is awesome in my opinion, but the movie never goes all in on the cartoon thing. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure there's less than 90 seconds of actual animation on screen in this movie. How can you make a movie called Evil Toons and have less than 1 minute and 30 seconds of Toons? But other than that, this movie is the definition of to be trash. The acting is terrible, seeing that it's all adult actresses or David Carradine, who visibly couldn't care less. The creature design looks like it was drawn by a 9-year-old girl with dementia. The kills are so bland. I mean, they all end with just little hickeys on people's neck. We couldn't have come up with anything more inventive for the demon? And the fact that you didn't have Dick Miller scream, "My dick," when he died is the definition of a missed opportunity. And I think that's about all I have to say about this movie. So if you stuck around to the end of the video, then thank you. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart, it means more than you'll ever know. Drop a like if you'd like, subscribe for some more terrible Tubi reviews, and drop a few recommendations down there in the comments if you've got them. And you know what? As terrible as this movie is, I think I learned something. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter what job you have, what school you went to, whether you went to school, whether you have a school, who you are, your monetary value, your net worth, your car, your house. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we can all agree that boobs are awesome.